Okay, so here is my first photo tutorial. Um, I took this photo a couple weeks ago, and when I took it, um, I had it envisioned, and it didn't come out the way I wanted it. The sun kind of beaming through this area right here. Let me create a new layer and just show you. And I'm gonna brush, get a bright color. Okay, I envision the sun. This is an awesome drawing. Beaming through there. This is kind of dark. That's kind of dark. This is saturated. And the background is yellow. Well, orange is yellow to simulate the sun. Okay, so this is how I look at every photo that I do, and also I'm gonna boost the saturation on this stuff. But this is how I normally do everything. When I take the photo, sometimes it just doesn't come out right. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and see if we can do this very quickly. Alright, so we're gonna turn off that layer by clicking on that eyeball, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the levels. This is just to get the exposure how I want it, and I'm not looking at the whole photo again. I'm just looking at this leaf right here because I know I'm going to darken all of this out anyways. So I don't know, some like right about there is alright. I'm going to make sure that's up at the top. And alright, so I want to see if my mouse will work right. So I want to click back there, and I am going to go back. Alright, I'm going to try to boost the saturation of this leaf. So I'm going to go back, hue saturation, and I'm going to click this, and I'm just going to drag it up. Okay. Let's see how much that did. Okay, it boosted it a little bit. Let's see if we can get a little bit more. Too much. Okay. Now what I want to do is I just want to have this leaf saturated, this feather saturated. So I'm going to click on this, which is a layer mask. I'm going to push Control I, which is going to invert it, and it's going to turn it black. And black means that it's hidden everything. So I'm going to click on it again and make sure that my brush is set to white. And now I'm just going to paint onto this feather. I don't know, I want to keep calling it a leaf. Okay, so there we go. Alright, now the next thing I want to do is I want to boost the saturation in the greens. Again, I'm going to do it the same way. Hue saturation, touch that right there. I'm just going to boost that saturation. Well, it's boosting the yellows, but I'm going to go ahead and boost the yellows and the greens on this one. And what I'm going to do with this one is I don't want this piece of grass so bright, or that piece of grass. So again, I want to click on my layer mask, make sure it's on black this time because I want to hide stuff. Increase the brush size. I'm just going to paint over when I do not want it to be green. It'll take a second. any second now. Come on, there we go. Alright, so I got the leaves greener. I got the background kind of yellowier. Got this saturated. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to go to Edit, Fill, using a color. I'm just going to pick a yellowy orangish color. And I'm going to push OK. What this is going to do is going to fill the whole picture with that yellowy orange color. I'm just going to play around to see which one I like the most. I think I want to use soft white. And I'm going to hold Alt and press down the mask. And I want to click on the mask. Make sure my brush is selected. Make sure I'm painting with white. And I'm just going to paint in the background area. Okay? And this is, let me just go in here a little bit as well. This is hopefully going to give off a sense of sunlight hitting the leaf, the feather from this area. Because if you just create, a big ball of light, then it's just going to be a big random blue ball of light, and the sun is kind of yellowy orange. So you want to first prep it with that yellowy orange. Okay, now let's see. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to push Control Shift N, and I'm going to create a new layer on Overlay. I'm going to fill it with 50% neutral gray, and I'm going to go to Filter, Render, Lens Flare. And this can be as big as you want it to be, but I'm just going to have it like that. Okay, and again, it just kind of looks like the sun's just creeping in there. Let me see what happens when I change this bloom mode to soft white. Okay, it just kind of dappens it a little bit. And that's okay. And let's see, the next thing I wanted to do was put a vignette over that area. I want to go to Curves, drop down the curves, and again, I'm just paying attention to the area I want to darken. And I'm going to push M. I'm going to hold. I'm going to just pick an area that I want the leaf to be bright in. It's about right about there. And I'm going to push Shift, Backspace, and I'm going to fill this with black. Okay, I'm going to push Control D. Now, that doesn't look great right there, but the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and I'm going to have this up pretty high, and this way it's just going to blend into the background. And if that's too dark on the edges, you can always just raise that up a little bit. Okay? Let's see. There's probably one more thing we can do. Control Shift in again, fill it with change the mode to soft light, fill it with 50% neutral gray. I'm going to do another lens flare. But this time I'm going to try to make it a little bit darker. Not as bright, but put it right on the feather. Let me see if I did it right. Yeah, there we go. You know what? I'm going to duplicate that a couple times. And I'm just moving it around a little bit. There we go. So there's like a point where the sun's hitting it. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I'm going to do with this photo. Let's go back to the before. And now after. And we're going to look at the notes. And yeah, made the background yellow. Created a sun source that's beaming down there with that lens flare, and also put a lens flare on the feather. I saturated this a little bit. I put a vignette around there. I saturated the feather. And you know what? Just so we can say we did it, I push Control, Alt, Shift, and E together, and it takes all the levels, all the layers below what you have selected and the layer you have selected, and merges them into one whole layer. That is really important to know when you're really editing, because sometimes the things that you have to do requires you to work on a full layer instead of a composite of a bunch of layers. Just going to go in there and just increase the sharpness of it a little bit. Okay, so these are the notes. That's before, after, take out the notes. There we go. Alright, hope this helped you out.